The Top Floor Please podcast, where women in leadership rise together. I'm your host, Melissa McCormick, executive coach and founder of the Grace and Salt Leadership Academy. This is your space to find clarity, grow in confidence, and lead with bold authenticity. Whether you're navigating the boardroom, building your team, or stepping into new territory, you're not alone. Let's talk real challenges, real growth, and real leadership because the top floor isn't just a place, it's a mindset. Alrighty then, let's get started.
Have you ever felt like you're doing all the right things, right? You're working hard, delivering results, showing up consistently, but yet your boss still seems hesitant. Maybe they don't fully delegate. Maybe you keep you out of bigger conversations, maybe question your decisions. You might even think they're micromanaging. They seem to slow to advocate for your advancement, right? And so you're just wondering, what am I missing? Like, what is happening here? I'm doing all the things. I'm doing everything that I think I should be doing properly. Excuse me while I adjust my jacket. What am I missing? And here's something I need you to understand, that trust in leadership is not built solely through hard work. Okay. So it's built through judgment. It's built through communication, consistency. It's built through strategic thinking, maybe your reliability at a higher level, because competency matters for sure, but leadership trust often requires more than execution. So today we're unpacking why your boss may not fully trust you yet and what leaders can do to strengthen that trust strategically. Welcome to the Top Floor Please podcast, the podcast for leaders who are ready to stop drowning in the day-to-day. I want you to get out of the weeds and start leading with greater clarity, confidence, and strategic influence. I'm Melissa McCormick. I am your host. I always wanted to be a lawyer, right? But instead of arguing cases in the courtroom, I traded the courtroom for the boardroom. Now I help leaders stop arguing with their calendars. I want them to strengthen their executive readiness and start running the business instead of the business running them. Today, we're diving into a leadership challenge that can quietly impact career growth: trust. Many leaders assume that if I work hard enough, trust will naturally follow. But trust at a higher level, like a higher leadership level, that often depends on more than effort. Because here's what bosses are evaluating. They're evaluating, can you think strategically? Can you lead independently? Can you communicate clearly? Can you protect the organization? Can you manage risk? Can you represent leadership well? And sometimes strong performance alone isn't enough. Like, your strong performance doesn't answer those questions. Like, if they're out of the office and something comes in, do they trust you to make the right decision? Do they trust you that you are going to have that the decisions you make, you know what the risk is to the overall organization? Or maybe you know who to reach out to in order to weigh in on that decision. So I just want to lean in just a little bit to common reasons that trust may be limited. Okay. First one is inconsistent judgment. Do you solve problems or do you create more problems? Like, what does that look like? Where are you at? And this is, this whole podcast is all about self-assessment and really understanding where you are in certain areas so that you can then learn and grow and develop and reach your career goals. And hopefully my goal is for you to exceed those career goals. So once we have the inconsistent judgment, like, are you solving problems or are you creating more problems? Are there communication gaps? Are leaders surprised too often? None of us, I will guarantee you that every single person listening to this podcast or who will listen to this podcast in the future does not want to be blindsided. Nobody wants to be blindsided, personally or professionally. So are leaders surprised too often from something going on in your world? Is there a lack of strategic perspective? Maybe you aren't thinking beyond your immediate role. Emotional reactivity. Can you remain steady under pressure? I want to hang here just for a second. I want to sit in this one. Because as women, we are emotional creatures. And sometimes emotional, does that mean, did I cry? Does that mean, did I get upset? Did I raise my voice? What does emotional mean? And from my perspective, it means all of that. It means that maybe when I'm crying, it's just because I'm passionate or I'm frustrated, and I cry when I'm frustrated. I don't think that that's wrong. I will tell you that I want you to explain it if and when it happens. Okay. I don't want you just to not say anything, to not acknowledge the tears. If you can help it, don't cry. But if you can't, because you're having a bad day, personal issues, or you're just stressed out, then that's what you should say. Because nobody, I guarantee you, at least the places that I've worked, and I would hope the places that you've worked, nobody wants an employee to go home in tears. So here's what you do. You say, excuse me, I'm sorry about the tears. Like, yes, I'm one to say sorry when it's appropriate. I know there's a lot of business leaders and coaches out there that say, let's, you're a woman. You shouldn't apologize for those things. It's an emotional response. I get it. But it also puts the other person, especially if they're a man, they don't know what to do right now. Do I get her Kleenex? Do I ignore them? Do I acknowledge them? I don't know what to do. I'm not even thinking. Like, their brain is going crazy right at the moment, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to say, these tears are because I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. Or these tears are because I am burnout and frustrated. I'll get through it. I'll get through the moment. But I want you to know why I am so emotional right now. Now, if we are in a high stakes situation and it's heavy pressure, I want you to try to remain steady under pressure. Okay. I want you to be sure that you're not crying every single time that there's a lot of pressure going on, because that is going to tell somebody, oh, okay, so she can't handle, the hard moments. Now, if it's once in a while, I don't see there's any problem with it. But if it's consistent, you do need to keep an even keel and try to keep your game face on at all times. Another area is overdependence, right? Do you require too much oversight? So this could be another reason why your boss may not trust you. And that could be that you don't trust yourself. That could be that you don't have confidence. And so you're constantly going to your boss you know the right answer, but you go to your boss for validation. Okay. Just be thinking about that. Trust is going to grow when leaders reduce the uncertainty. So trust is often about risk. And this is super important. Leaders often ask me, can I trust this person with larger consequences? Right? That's what they ask. Can I trust this person with larger consequences? If I'm not here, if I'm on vacation, if I'm traveling, if I'm on an airplane and something big comes up, can I trust this person? Because as the roles expand, the mistakes impact teams, they impact revenue, they impact culture, clients, organizational reputation, all of those things. Like, it gets bigger. So trust often increases when leaders demonstrate sound judgment. So that's going to be super important in order for you to grow your trust with your boss. And trusted leaders, they do things differently. They communicate proactively. Remember, I talked about blindsiding. No boss wants to be blindsided. No employee wants to be blindsided. Communicate proactively. Here's what happened today. Here's how I handled it. Any questions? Type of communication. They solve problems thoughtfully. Bring solutions. Right? You might, and I did a podcast on this exact conundrum because I hadn't really thought about it this way, but a lot of leaders will say, I want people to bring their solutions when they come with a problem. And I had this lady tell me, but Melissa, I'm out of solutions or I wouldn't come to you. That was fair. That was totally fair. I hadn't thought about that. But here's what I want you to do then. I want you to bring solutions, your crazy ideas or whatever that might be. If you've run out of them, then I want you to say that. I want you to say, I'm coming to you for one reason only. I've tried everything I know, and now I need your help. Okay. So I'm not coming with a solution because I don't have one. I've tried every single thing I can think of. And here's what I've tried. These leaders, these employees, they think enterprise wide. They handle pressure with composure, and they follow through consistently. They create confidence, not just in execution, but in leadership maturity. And you might not have that confidence inside, but you are demonstrating it outside. Okay, that is really important. And for many women leaders, trust gaps, they may be influenced by visibility. They may be influenced by your communication style, by your confidence, by your executive presence, by your organizational bias, whatever it might be. But here's why, because confidence plus competence plus clarity matters deeply. Leaders they need to ensure that their readiness is visible, right? Leaders often need to ensure that their readiness is visible. So throughout my corporate career, one thing became super clear, and that was that bosses often elevate leaders that they trust. They trust to protect bigger priorities, lead independently, handle pressure, represent them well, right? Maybe there's a customer or a vendor or something that there's some problems going on and the head person can't get there, but they trust you. They're like, hey, Melissa, I need you to do me this favor. I need you to go to XYZ customer and help solve this problem on my behalf, right? Trust is often earned through behavior over time, not titles. It's not potential alone, and it's not intention. So I'm going to give you some steps on how to build trust strategically. The first one is I want you to improve your proactive communication. If you do nothing else, do this. Keep your leaders informed. They know then that you're on their side and that you've got their back. Number two is I want you to strengthen decision quality. Think before escalating. I want you to just take a moment and think. Just sit there and go, okay, what would I do? If I were my boss, what would I do? And if it's a decision that maybe you should not be making yourself, then go to your boss and say, here's the situation. Here's what I'm thinking. Does that align with what you would do if you were me? I just want to learn. Okay. Build composure, because steadiness, it does matter. Build composure. So what does that mean? Don't fly off the handle even when you want to. Don't get angry and mad when the guys are going golfing and you're not. You can definitely address it with them and just say, wait a minute, time out. I'd love to go golfing with you too. And they probably hadn't even thought about that. So think about how you're communicating and how you're addressing things. But composure does matter. I have a whole program, a DISC program actually, called Agile EQ, and it talks about each DISC style and how your emotional quotient, right, your emotional IQ, which areas mindsets is what they call them. There's 8 of them. Which ones do you naturally embrace and which ones do you need to work on? So if you're interested in that, let me know. I want you, number 4, expand your perspective. Think beyond your role. Like if you're making a decision, how does it impact the folks downstream? How does it impact the overall decision? Or excuse me, the overall company? And then I want you to deliver consistency. Trust compounds. What does that mean? That means that it's compounded like at the bank, right? When you've got your compounded interest. So trust, as you're doing it consistently, is going to continually build your bank of trust. Now, trust can be rebuilt. It feels limited, but I don't want you to default to frustration. I want you to think, what signals am I currently sending? Because trust often strengthens. It strengthens through clarity. It strengthens through maturity, visibility, reliability, and strategic growth. So, what signals am I currently sending? And then I have 3 key takeaways for you today, which has kind of been typical in my most recent episodes here, podcast episodes. But the first one is that hard work alone does not guarantee trust. That leadership trust requires judgment. Number 2, trust is built by reducing uncertainty. Composure and communication matter. And number 3, strategic leadership strengthens credibility. Your next level depends on trustworthiness. So before we wrap up, I want you to take one idea from today's episode and I want you to ask yourself this. Where might I need to strengthen trust? Not just performance but where must I strengthen trust in my leadership right now? So if you didn't take notes, I want you to stop this recording and I want you to rewind it and go back to where we talked about how to strengthen trust. That leadership only changes when behavior changes. So your next level may not simply require working harder. It might require building trust. It might require strengthening your judgment, communicating differently, leading with greater maturity. I work with leaders who are buried in the day-to-day. I help them simplify things. I help them get out of the weeds. I help them start running the business instead of the business running them. If that sounds like where you are and you really want to get out of the hamster wheel, call me. You can go to graceandsaltleadership.com to learn more. And finally, if this episode was helpful, I want you to share it with another leader who might need this perspective. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you really want to go to the next level, I want you to reach out to me and learn more about the Executive Readiness Accelerator Program because it is dynamite. All right. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, keep leading forward.
Thanks so much for hanging out on the top floor. If today's episode gave you something to think about or a little boost, share it with your friends to keep the momentum going. And hey, if you're ready to rise, find your voice, and lead with clarity and confidence, we'd love to connect with you. Reach out at graceandsaltleadership.com to learn how Grace and Salt can support your growth. Remember, you don't have to lead like everyone else. Just lead like you. All right, I'll see you next time on the top floor.